Yeah, I think the playbook is the same, and the action we're seeing is really just a function of how corrections unfold, and it's really a function of the weak stocks and the weak trends are unable to bounce, and ultimately the market works its way through to the names that have held up, and I think that's what we're seeing now. We saw it with Amazon, we've seen it a little bit with Google. Even the names that reported quote unquote good numbers like Microsoft are probably on the chopping block here.
So those so-called generals that people, have been referring to them as, you think they're most, if not all, are in danger now of a bigger breakdown, and that's what takes the market with it?
I think that's pretty fair to say. And I'll just say, from a sentiment perspective, you guys were talking about Amazon. It had been a great stock up until a few months ago, but it's down, 30 or 40% from the highs. And I actually noticed today there's 59 sell-side analysts covering the stock. 57 have buy ratings on it, only one hold and one sell. And so I think you need to see sentiment from the sell side come down as well before we start to, find bottoms in some of these names.
I know you know how this goes, though. I mean, if you look, I literally think I counted today 24 price target cuts from Amazon. That's the first place the knife goes to, right, as you reevaluate what the price of the stock is because it's gone through such a correction, but there's such reticence to actually downgrade the stock. And I don't know if you're going to get to that moment at all, but what seems like a reasonable number on the S&P 500 for you before we can start building a base back up?
Yeah, I mean, we've kind of ballpark had that, that 4,000 level. I think you probably need to break that just psychologically. There's probably some stops there. We in our last note, we targeted 3,900 based on some other technical input. So I think somewhere in that, once we start getting below 4,000, you can start to look for some signs. But, ultimately more than just a price level, it's watching the action. Do we get that final full-scale washout? We've been talking the lack of a full 90% downside volume day. And I know some people are saying we may not get there, but I think ultimately you will get that full-scale capitulation where it's indiscriminate selling, and you'll kind of know it when you see it. We've gotten close, but we don't think we're just quite there yet.
I mean, I'm looking, 1.3 billion shares traded here at the New York Stock Exchange. I mean, it was 1,250 were down volume. I feel like we're quibbling here on the actual number of downside volume. It's already been pretty severe. It really matters as to whether it achieves the actual 90 level or not.
No, I don't think it, if we were to get, like you said, we've been 86, 87, we're close. And I'm not saying we have to print 90%, but I think it's the way the market acts, right? You haven't seen that kind of full whoosh that, it's in some ways you can define it, but in other ways it's just one of those events you'll know when you see it. And I think, if and as we break 4,000, you're going to see kind of that trading action. I'd also say we haven't really, I think today was the worst percentage down day for the S&P. I could be wrong. I think it was the worst down day of the year. So, we're getting those bigger price moves. So we're getting closer. We're just, in our view, not quite there yet.
Where can I hide out if I'm intent on doing so? Where's a decent place right now?
That's tough because traditionally you would start to say, let's go into the defensives. But the problem was people, rotated into those so heavily. And that's what we were talking about a few weeks ago. Places like utilities traditionally are defensive. People kind of front ran the correction by hiding in those. So even utilities, were down pretty substantially today. I think we're getting closer to a point where you could probably, rotate back into some of those defensives. I'm not necessarily recommending it, but I think, you look at the China tech names were actually up pretty good today. So some places that are just so washed out like that might be okay. But, again, in a real full-scale washout, it's, unfortunately, cash is really the only pure safe haven. Even bonds are in a tough spot right now.